Again, hit the like button. Yeah, y'all, as you all know, I'm up here in Maine, but I'm from Delaware, and we root. So well, some of us root for the Eagles. You all know the preseason started yesterday. God, see, people always want to call me when I'm doing these goddamn when I'm recording. When people don't even call me at any other time, they want to call me now. Anyway, we all know that the NFL season started last night, the preseason, and the backup quarterback for Philly, broke his wrist. And I was talking to a buddy of mine, and he was telling me how WIP is calling for them to bring in Colin Kaepernick. And with this, in this era of the NFL, the backup quarterbacks really aren't that good. Back in the day, like Doug Flutie, Doug Williams, Jeff Hostetler, and Steve DeBerg, those guys were backup quarterbacks that were brought in, and you were expected to win with those guys. But nowadays, your backup quarterback, might as well be me and shit. But they're not going to bring him in Philly. But it goes to a testament as why we as black people shouldn't even be honoring the national anthem. Back in World War II, they had a regime called the Harlem Hellfighters, and they were basically a de facto American squad that the French used as, to supplement their army that was struggling. And there was a black soldier by the name of Henry Johnson, who fought off some 30 German soldiers by himself. And he was maimed in the battle, and he couldn't work. When he returned from the war, he got no type of compensation for his injuries. The French gave him a medal, but the U.S. didn't give him a medal till 75 years later, after World War II. He died in 1929, broke. But what's that word, posthumously or whatever it is? I don't know how to pronounce it, but you know what I'm talking about. When you get something for works that you already did, but you're dead and you're not there to receive it. Then I don't think he got the Purple Heart, but I think he got a Medal of Honor. The U.S. government told the French government to implement Jim Crow laws on all the black soldiers. And when German soldiers were held prisoner, they got better treatment than the African American soldiers. And I don't know if you all know this, but the Star Spangled Banner was written as a poem. They omitted a lot of it, but there's a point in the poem where they're talking about the celebration of the murder of African American slaves, or slaves. We all know slaves were African American. So Francis Scott Key was a straight bigot. And just this past weekend, I went to an amateur boxing event to, entertain myself. And when they sang the national anthem, I stood up, but I didn't take my hat off. But I think from now on, I'm not going to stand. I started to stand up I wasn't the only black, but one of few blacks. There's not a lot of blacks up here. There really isn't. And I started to stand up and put my right fist in the air like we used to do at Morgan State. But I did, not take my hat off. But I think from now on, I'm going to just go with just not standing up at all. And, some people say that, we use the race card, but the race card wouldn't be in the deck if it wasn't for racism.